I'm going to come on a little bit early and say hi to everyone. Welcome. Welcome to my backyard. Feel free to put in the chat where you're joining from today. It's great to have you here. I'm outside. It's what, 40 degrees, I think, here in Vermont. So not a bad day.
In the chat.
Welcome, welcome. It's good if you keep yourself on mute and use the chat, because then that won't change who shows up in the screen. So if you find your mute button, you can go across the bottom. There's like a little microphone, and if you tap that, that will mute things. I think it will be good. We'll get going here in just a few minutes. If you you should have like maybe a notebook, maybe something to draw or write with today. I don't know, if you're indoors, crack the window open a little bit. Yeah, get that window open. Oh gosh, this is so cool. So I am trying a whole new setup today, so I hope you'll bear with me. I've got a brand new tripod and I'm recording from my phone, which is really different. So just kind of getting used to what the chat flow is like. So I've got a laptop open down below, but I'm noticing that your messages are popping up right on the screen for me. So that's really nice too. Welcome, welcome everybody. We're gonna give folks like a few minutes to slide in. I like to start at 12:05 just to give everybody some time to arrive, right? Time to arrive and get here. I'm so grateful that you've made space for this today because it's the last one of the year. I can't believe it. Hey, that might be something cool to put in the chat too. How many sessions have you come to? Can you recall back through the year when I started this in January? How many times do you think you've attended this year? You can put that in the chat too while we wait for other folks to arrive. I'm gonna take a peek at how many participants. We're up to 14. Awesome. Great, great, great. Deb, your 5th time. All right. That's pretty good. I'm putting my gloves on. There's a little bit of a breeze kicking in. Christine says 4. Super. Good, good. I can hear, I hope it comes in too. I have a red-bellied woodpecker that's been cruising through the neighborhood this morning. So I'm really hoping that it will come in to the feeders behind me. You can see I've got my feeders up. I've got suet hanging from the feeder, and then also a tray feeder with black oil sunflower seed in it. My house is like right here in front of me, so I don't have the best view. I've got, yes, the purring sound, Martha. Oh my gosh, that like, yeah, kind of, it is. It's like a throaty purr that they do right now as they're that call out. And I'm pretty sure there's a pair in my neighborhood. But I've got some feeders over here as well, and then a couple of window feeders that I really like. All right, 12:03. If you're just arriving, welcome to the last First Friday of 2022. I had to check myself to see what year it is. I'm Bridget Butler, also known as the Bird Diva. If this is your first time joining us, we'll get going in just a minute. I like to give people, like 5 minutes or so to come in. Deanna, yes, hi from Washington. Good morning. Good morning to you. It's great to have you with us as well today. I'm looking at some of the other names here and recognizing from folks from some of the different courses that I've offered this year. Just so great to be able to gather in this way together. So a notebook, a pencil. As I look down, I need to find where my pencil is. Binoculars if you have them. If you don't, that's totally fine. You can be inside or outside. If you're inside, I encourage you to open a window just a smidgen. okay? So you get some of that fresh air and maybe a little bit of the soundscape coming in as well. Good, good. Hey, Valentia from Colombia, welcome. It's so great to have you here. Glad you found me. Welcome to our last first Friday slow birding session of this season. Super. All right. It is 12:05. Folks will be arriving as they come in. Please feel free to put in the chat where you're joining from. I've also been asking folks, how many times have you joined a slow birding guided session online? Is this your first time? Is this your second time? Or have you made it to all 12? Like, that would be amazing. How many have you come out for? Oh, right. I'm gonna do the little housekeeping things. Remember to keep your account on mute. I will invite people to unmute. I'm gonna stay a little bit longer today, so if people have questions afterwards, or they want to share stories, or they just want to chat, I'm gonna make a little bit of extra time there. So again, my name is Bridget Butler. I'm also known as the Bird Diva. You can find out all about my work at birddiva.com. I am coming to you live from my backyard in northwestern Vermont, along the shores of Lake Champlain, where the Missisquoi River runs down from the Green Mountains. It is the homelands of the Abenaki people, the Western Abenaki, who are still here and very active in our community, in our schools, all of that. And I'm learning a lot from them about how we connect with the land. It's a constant theme in my work, birds being a really nice portal to that. My feeder is right behind me. I have a suet feeder and a platform feeder there. And just above me, this beautiful spruce tree is a spot where the birds like to come in a lot. So that's why I'm set up here. And this tends to be my typical sit spot. So during these guided slow birding sessions through the year, I've tried to share some different practices that you can bring to your sit spot, whether it's inside or outside, to deepen. Ooh, I hear you. The juncos are coming back into the yard. To deepen your connection with the birds that are your neighbors, that are your kin, and with the land as well. I think sitting on the land in a regular routine practice and being open, having an open heart to being a witness and a noticer, can be really magical in a lot of different ways on a lot of different levels. So today, we're gonna do some different things. I was really thinking about what I'd like to wrap up the year with, and it was really hard to decide. And at the same time, I wanted to kind of give you some things to take away with you as you move through the holidays, and hopefully some of these things too will be practices that you can come back to. So we're going to revisit a couple of things today. I want to do a little bit of movement and breathing first, right? To kind of get into our bodies, get out of our heads and wherever we were, if we're taking a break from work right now, or we're taking a break from the holiday hubbub, excitement, stress, whatever the holiday might be bringing for you right now. And then we'll go into a 10-minute session where we'll observe and just kind of take in what's happening around us. I'll do a little bit of sports casting for what I'm noticing coming into my yard. There's a really nice hedgerow. Yeah, and can you hear the birds as well? Let's see. Yeah, there's Chickadee. Hi, Chickadee. You bringing all your buddies. Bring all your buddies, because all my friends are here with me too. All right. So today I'm going to share with you some of the movement exercises that we did when I was at my mindful outdoor leadership training this year at the Kripalu health and yoga center in the Berkshires. And what I loved about this, and I'll be honest, at first I was like, I don't want to do warm-ups before I go notice birds. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. But doing it over and over, what I realized is it really allowed me to slow down, which is part of my work, right? Slow birding, to get out of my head and into my body. And when you get into your body, you're better able to open up your senses. And that's how we experience birds, is through our senses, whether it's by sight or sound, or just noticing them. All right, so I'm gonna stand up, I'm gonna step back from the camera a little bit, and we're gonna do, and I'm probably gonna scare all my buddies away that just came in. There's a whole little flock of juncos and chickadees moving in the hedgerow, and they're coming right in around the shrubs that are to my right here that are out of the camera view, that are right near the feeder, about 10 feet from the feeder. Okay, so feel free to join me. If not, just watch and take it in and think about doing maybe small sections of this before you sit down and prepare yourself to be with birds on your sit spot. I'm going to take off my binoculars so they don't bang against my body, because the first thing I'm going to do is really warm up my body, which will be nice being outside here. All right, so how far back do I have to stand? There we go. We're going to stand back about that far. So all these little warm-ups that we're going to do come from yogic tradition, I learned, and they're kind of a way to get all these different, I don't know, your fluids, your muscles, all of that moving in your body. And what I like, again, is it really gets me in my body and ready to use my senses. So we're just going to do something really simple to start off, which is just like a really nice, gentle torso twist. And you're just going to let your arms relax, and you can gaze wherever you want as you do this. And we're going to increase it a little bit, so our arms kind of fly out as we go. But just keep it gentle. If it hurts at all, just stop, go back to the slower one. And I'm going to kind of let my hands gently, like, kind of pulse my body. My kids love this one. Of course, they immediately go really, really fast with it. Maybe as you turn, you can look over your shoulder. Those arms might go out further. There go my binocular straps. Okay, so don't do this with binoculars. Oh, and as I really get going, and I look over those shoulders, my arms are going to go out a little bit farther. And then we get to the apex of it as we're taking flight almost. We're just going to come back down. Let it go nice and slow. Maybe take a couple of nice inhales through your nose. Oh my gosh, it smells so good outside today. All right. And as we come into that place, I'm going to work from the toes up, because I'm kind of feeling movement in my toes a little bit right now. So I'm going to have you just take your toe from like your right foot and tip it back. So it's going to kind of look like this, like a little bit like that. And you're just going to roll your ankle a little bit. Just roll that around. Feel those joints. Oh, nuthatch, I hear you. Maybe do like a couple circles with that one. And then we're going to switch to the other foot. I'm trying really hard not to think about all the things I have to do this weekend, and just kind of be in the moment. And anytime my mind starts to wander, I just kind of gently remind myself that right now I'm here moving my body to get back into my body and get ready to be with the birds. All right, now hands on knees. And if you can't go that far, that's fine. You can go from here and you can do hips. So we're just gonna do hips in little circles one way. And if you can get down to your knees, you can do your knees. All right, and then we're gonna reverse the direction. You don't wanna ever leave yourself hanging in one direction or the other. We'll come back up to hips, just in case there's some folks that are like, yeah, I'm not feeling the knee thing today. All right, we're gonna work all the way back up. Now we're gonna come up into shoulders. Ooh, rolling back. A couple of nice deep breaths again, maybe in through the nose and take in all that air. Hi, chickadee. They're sticking around. They're not scared of my warm-up movements here. And then forward, right? Okay. All right, now we're gonna move to your nose. And I love this one because this is just, you're gonna make a spiral, and you're gonna start tiny, and then you're gonna make the spiral bigger and bigger and bigger. If anything doesn't feel comfortable at any point in time, you can stop. Just go back to whatever feels good. Real big circles. Whoa, I can go all the way up the sky. There we go. I'm gonna come back in. We're gonna go reverse and make it small again. Sometimes you might get dizzy. It's okay to stop. Feel free to watch the birds behind me if you want. Okay, now we're gonna go to the top of our head and kind of do the same thing. So you're gonna start in little circles, kind of drawing on the sky and the clouds. If you haven't muted your microphone yet, I invite you to do that because sometimes that shifts where the camera goes. All right, and now I'm gonna go back the other way. We'll make big circles. Awesome. Okay. Oh, we're gonna widen our stance just a little bit, and we're gonna take a couple of deep breaths. So these are like sun breaths, and you can start with your hands in here. Bend down as far as you like, just sit with your knees. So we're gonna go down. Inhale and up. And then I like to push the breath down through my body as I exhale. I think somebody's got a fire going in their yard already today. One more. All right. I'm gonna come back to my seat again. You can find your seat. My moment of gratitude here as I come back from that. Just how good it feels in my body to pay attention that way, to give myself time to get out of my head and all the busyness that I carry with me all day, to get back into my body. I'm outside, so I'm warmed up a little bit now. This is good. And now I'm ready to be with all these little birds that have come back in around me. And you know what? I thought they were going to go away, but they didn't. They stuck around. Feel free to type in the chat if you, how are you feeling after doing that? Does that make sense to you to try to do little warm-ups before you get to your sit spot? What could it give you? What did it give you? Do you do that already when you go to your sit spot? Oh, and I am gonna see, hopefully my other computer is still working here. So we have a couple of folks that are still unmuted, or yeah, unmuted. So if you could mute yourself, that would be great. I'm just gonna check the chat here. Yeah, Qigong warm-up moves, so good. Good. People here in woodpecker and chickadees are ready. Yes, and if you haven't been to a slow burning session before, you are welcome to enter into the chat anything that you are experiencing at any time, whether it's a bird or a feeling or something that you're noticing. Trying to figure out. Here we go. We've still got some background noise from folks, so just double check that you're muted, and we're gonna keep going here. So I want to share with you, I like to share like quotes and things for each session. And y'all know, for those of you who do know me, what a big fan I am of Mabel Osgood Wright. This is a book called The Friendship of Nature, a New England Chronicle of Birds and Flowers. She's just a beautiful writer. I'm going to pause for a minute and see if I can put the person on mute who is, nope, I can't from here. So there's one person who sounds like they're kind of shuffling around a little bit. If you could, again, please check your microphone, and if you could mute it, that would be super helpful. So I'm just going to read from the chapter called A Winter Mood. And I know it doesn't look very wintry in the backyard here. I'm in the lowlands in Vermont, and up in the mountains, there is snow, the ski areas are open, and we're kind of moving into that quiet, reflective time of year. And so I'm going to read a couple of little sections, just two, that really kind of resonate with me, because sometimes as we move into winter and we're hanging out with our winter usual suspects, sometimes winter can feel a little bit draggy and dreary. And I guess this session, I really want you to encourage you to use all those skills and all those practices that you've developed over the course of the year, whether this is your first time or your fifth time, or you've taken a course with me or not. Think about how you can find awe in wintertime. And that's what I think Mabel does really good in here. So she says, black and white winter. Are you both flowerless and songless? It may seem so, but there's both music and color, for the tones of winter are really distinctive as those of all other seasons. If you search, as you have done each day in the spring, the summer, or autumn, you will find constantly a new beauty, a fresh surprise. There is no really dead season. There are no snows so deep, but somewhere in the firs, the crossbill holds her sign of the sacred legend. No ice so thick, but under it the warm current stirs. No age so dreary that love may not quicken it until eternal spring. I drew a heart next to that one on my book because I just love that piece so much. So what I'm hoping you'll be able to do is, as you move into the winter season, and we'll join up again in January, no worries, we're going to keep this going, is that you'll continue to build some of those connections you've made with your usual suspects. So I'm curious from you, can you put in the chat some of your usual suspects that you noticed during this change in seasons? Who are the birds that are in your neighborhood that you see on a daily basis right now? That's what I call usual suspects. And those are the birds that can be a really great foundation for building your observation skills. So for me, and if I look around, I'll put my glasses on really quick here. For me, like literally right now, within 12 feet of me, are dark-eyed junco, black-capped chickadee. I can hear white-breasted nuthatch. Yes, Penelope, awesome. Good, you guys keep dropping stuff in the chat. Okay, white-breasted nuthatch. I think that red-bellied woodpecker is going to be my number 4. And that is a new one that's been here consistently in our yard since the end of the summer, which is surprising. I don't think we've had them. I used to get, let's put it this way, I used to get really excited when red-bellied woodpecker would show up because it was rare. That bird has expanded its range into Vermont, kind of moving northward. And so they're not super common. But now in my yard, it's like a daily thing. Awesome, I'm seeing some similarities. If you look in the chat too, you're gonna see folks have some very similar birds. Although we do have friends joining us from Colombia today and the state of Washington. And so those folks might have some very different usual suspects. Okay, so there's Jay. So what did I say? Chickadee, dark-eyed junco, white-breasted nuthatch, red-bellied woodpecker. We'll stick with Jay. Awesome. Yay. Deanna from Washington has got hummingbirds still. All right. you'll notice that some folks are using 4-letter codes for birds in the chat box. And so the way you do 4-letter codes is you take the bird's common name and you take the first 2 letters of the first part of the name. So if we were going to do mourning dove, okay, it would be M-O. And then the first 2 letters of the second part of the common name would be D-O. So it would be Modo, mourning dove. So Penelope just put in there B-A-E-A. And then it becomes kind of like a game. Like, what's a B-A-E-A? I had 2 B-A-E-A's yesterday on my way to work out in the islands. That would be bald eagle. So kind of a fun game to play. Thank you all for sharing all your usual suspects. So that was my first question. Who are your usual suspects that are hanging out with you right now? And I've got 2 chickadees that are, again, within 12 feet of me near that shrub that's just out of the view. And then my second question for you is, how have you strengthened your connection and your relationship with these species this year? What's changed for you? And then for those of you who aren't really familiar, oh my gosh, Valentina. All right, I'm gonna pause. I think I have a black Brownian warbler. Oh, and so this is what's so cool when we have folks that join us from other hemispheres. Yay, Valentina. So Valentina has a warbler that breeds here, even in Vermont in the Northeast. She has it down there right now. Oh, that just brings me so much joy. It's so cool to be able to share in this way. We share birds, right? We think of, these birds that we see as our birds, and some of them, they probably are, right? They're the birds that we see on a daily basis, but some leave and go elsewhere for the winter time, and we miss them, right? But Valentina's taking care of them and noticing them and witnessing them and building a relationship with them down where she is. So let's go back to that relationship question. How can you, or have you, built your connection in your relationship with birds in this past year? And with slow birding, really what we're trying to do is kind of move beyond just ticking birds off the list and really getting to know, to get to know them like a friend, right? And have a relationship with them almost like you would with a friend, right? I come out here, I sit with my coffee like I might sit with coffee with a friend or meet up with a friend for coffee. Sometimes I bring lunch with me out to some of my satellite sit spots and sit and eat. So cruise the chat. I'm going to open that up for a minute and read some people's reflections. Did you see the gray squirrel in my yard? See, you sit long enough. This is the other thing. And I hope some of you have discovered this too, right? Is it if you sit long enough, everybody comes back in around you. And here I am chatting away, and it doesn't matter. They're like, we're going to go about our deal and come back in. All right. So let's see. Penelope says, I've become much closer with my chickadees. I think it's the hand feeding. Oh, super cool. That's a great thing to try. All right. Peanut holders. I'm hearing so much about people feeding peanuts this year, and I think I'm going to try that this winter. All right. So Martha says, I've watched them more closely and quietly and been more excited about seeing them rather than watching for the exceptional bird. Yeah, kind of finding the joy in the everyday. I've been curious too about just letting go of that pursuit and of outcomes. And I sometimes do it even when I'm on my sit spot. Like I may be really good at setting an intention to go out and notice and be there as a witness and just hang out. But there's times when my brain's already ticking through, and often it's like, how do I turn this into something that I'm going to be able to share with my participants in my courses or with the organizations that I work with. And it's when I'm able to calm and quiet that, I call it the gerbil wheel in my brain, that I'm really able to have a meaningful exchange with the birds and the land. And all of a sudden those little lessons and nuggets of knowledge start to come through, or opportunities for knowledge. Super. Okay, so here's what we're gonna try today. I'm gonna take my glasses off. We're gonna check on the time. Oh, and I can't see time in this. I told some folks at the start of the session that I'm using a new setup. And so this will be a little different this time around. So let's see if I can. All right, we're gonna try this. Okay, so thank you, Betsy. Yay. Okay, so it's 12:30. So here's what we're gonna do for our 10-minute sit. And I'm finding my notes here. So we're going to go back to some of the classic prompts that I use and that I introduced you to at the beginning of the year. They are, I notice, I wonder, and it reminds me of. So you can use those 3 prompts. And what I'm going to ask you to do after the 10 minutes is bring back an I wonder statement. And it can be about a bird. It could be about a bird behavior. It could be about, like, just in a bigger context, it could be about the squirrels, okay? It could be about any of those things. So an I wonder statement. The other prompt or invitation I'm gonna put out there is something that I've been thinking a lot about. I've been taking a mindfulness course, and one of the things that we worked on this past week was noticing bodily sensations and doing a body scan and starting at the top. And oh my gosh, I loved it because it's right. It was just a great way to, again, slow down and map out how I was feeling in my body. And I thought about how I do that with birds. I kind of do bird body scans. And isn't that a great way to really start to get to know the size and the shape, the winter plumage versus the summer plumage, the behaviors, right? All of those things that that we kind of forget to pause and linger on. So I started doing that with chickadees this week, and I'm really enjoying the color blocks, the color blocking of chickadees. Makes me think, and that reminds me of, it reminds me of when I do a body scan practice with my chickadee friends, it reminds me of Charlie Harper's artwork and all the color blocks there. So these are the places that I want to invite you to go in your sit spot, in your practice. Okay, so the first part was, I notice, I wonder, it reminds me of. And then the next one was giving a body scan kind of approach and idea, especially if you have birds present around you. So I'm going to spin a little bit and still be in frame. And we're going to try to do 10 minutes. This is where I wish I could see the timer. All right, somebody want to give me a time check? Help me out as I learn new equipment and gear. Okay, 12:33. Okay, so we're gonna go until, let's give it a couple extra minutes. We're gonna go until 12:45. So you are welcome to turn off your screen and go away until 12:45, or you can stay here with me and I'm gonna sportscast a little bit, or you can chat it up with people in the chat box. That's totally cool too. All right, I'll see you at 12:45. Somebody come off at 12:45 and unmute and be like, hey, Bridget, because I can't see a camera and my computer died. No time check. I need a timekeeper today. Here we go. I can hear white-breasted nuthatch behind me. I'm waiting for my friends to come back in here. They kind of all spilled out. I'm noticing a bright red round object in a tree with a little bit of tinges of like yellowy green right at the crook of where two branches come together. And when I got my binoculars on it, it's not a bird. It's an apple in a maple tree that's got big bite marks out of it. So my brain was thinking bird because of the color. And I do have cardinals in my neighborhood, but that's not what it was. Yeah, Penelope, a squirrel, probably. Drag, I mean, it's big. It's as big of it as my fist. Okay, I'm gonna swing around and try to see this nuthatch body scan. And meanwhile, Penelope, I found that squirrel. There's a squirrel cozied up, tail wrapped up over its back, tucked in to two branches going like this, and the squirrel's like right in there. Where are you? So I have two lovely nuthatches that are kind of foraging very close to each other in the deep furrowed bark of the cottonwoods. And I'm noticing that strong black cap that goes up over the head and then down over the back of the head, just to the nape of the neck. Oh, you guys are quick. And I'm also noticing how the white comes in around like the side of the head. So when you look at it from the top, when they're in that direction, it kind of pinches a little bit. Where'd you go? I'm noticing goldfinch calls from over here. This is where there's a big bank of conifers in my neighbor's yard. This is the other thing that'll start to happen to you as you get deeper into your sit spot practice. Your brain also starts to map the landscape and where there's great spots for birds, and you'll start to learn how they use those different spots. So that nice kind of wall of conifers has been great cover for birds during the winter, and it's where the crossbills were in my yard a couple years ago, which doesn't happen every year, but the white-winged crossbills came through Vermont, and that was the tree that they were in because they were heavy with pine cones. And then we had those deep furrowed bark cottonwoods here, and of course that's going to be like a buffet for nuthatches. Right, those deep crevices holding lots of insects. course, this big tree right above me here. Unfortunately, our lovely spruce is starting to die, but it's like that magnet for all the birds to come into our backyard and then drop into the feeders. The hedgerow behind me, and we actually have a brook here, and that brook is where the river otters come through the city in the wintertime. And it's also where the birds go to take their baths and preen and care for their bodies on the edges of the brook there. So that practice of sitting day by day, even when there aren't birds, there's the landscape to get to know. I see that hatch again. Okay, so my body scan for nuthatch stopped at the nape of the neck. So the next time I look, I'm gonna try to start there and move back. Just move to the back of the tree. Martha Scott, okay, yes, red-breasted nuthatches and white-breasted. White-breasted is the dominant one that I have here in northwestern Vermont, but we do get red-breasted every once in a while as well. In my yard, anyways, they're not super common. That just got really quiet. I'm curious, can you hear the trucks from Route 89? That's the part of my soundscape that I have to be non-judgmental about. It's very hard, but I do my best. I recognize it and I just let it go. I try to push it into the background and pull all those bird sounds into the foreground. Oh, there's that. Okay, you're back. I'm noticing the sumac trees in my neighbor's yard are full of the fruits, so that'll be a great place to watch as we get further into the winter. The woodpeckers really love the sumac berries. Okay, I'm gonna swing around and see if the juncos are back behind me. All right, I'm gonna pull up the chat. It's very quiet here right now. Sometimes when it gets really quiet, I like to do, we did an exercise, I think more toward the beginning of the year, where we were talking about soundscapes and really pushing our listening outward and upward, right? Up above us, out to the side, maybe behind us. And I was just talking about like kind of pushing the cars and trucks into the background. My neighbor's barking dog sound goes into the background. Now I can hear chickadees over here. If you're comfortable closing your eyes, doing this kind of practice of seeing how far and how close you can listen can be really great to kind of take out that sense of sight, so you're heightening your hearing. For some people, it's really uncomfortable, so what you can do is kind of just drop your eyes. Thank you for the time check, Betsy. Good, good, good. All right, I'm just scrolling through. Good. Oh, I love all the sharing. You guys are doing great. Good stuff. Okay, little flocks of American goldfinch going over. They didn't stop though. They tend to be a little more skittish than the juncos. Maybe they'll come in. Oh, here they go. Okay, now I'm noticing why it got really quiet in my yard. So I'm in a city, and so I have neighbors on either side. There's a brook and then a neighbor, but literally like not even a driveway and a neighbor. And then there's a whole bunch of neighbors behind me. And my neighbors are walking their dogs right now. 2 dogs chatting it up. So that's probably why some of the birds have pushed out for a few minutes. They're hunting dogs too, so I don't know if different types of working dogs give off different vibes. That would be really curious to figure out. All right, great. So Betsy's wondering what's up. I'm wondering what your wonders were from your 10 minutes. So I'm gonna 12:46. Thanks, Betsy. Look at that. I'm gonna check on the chat here. I'm gonna learn how to tap the screen so my finger doesn't end up in the camera. All right, so I asked you, ooh, there we go. Where were you a minute ago? Morning dove just flew in. I'm wondering, so yeah, I'm wondering where all the birds have gone. I didn't see any. Maybe I need to start feeding them again. Wondering if birds hang tight in the evergreens on a windy day like today. Yes, that's a great wondering. Part of wondering is being okay with not knowing right away, right? And sometimes as you return to your sit spot, these questions may hang out there, may linger for a while, and I think that's okay too. It's so great to just let things unfold and sit with unknowing for a little while, because sometimes that story just needs a little bit more time to unfold. Yeah, Martha's wondering why Feeder is not busy during these noontime Zooms. Yeah. Margie says, I've got a neighbor taking down a large patch of tall grass. Oh, and I'm wondering how that's going to affect winter plans for our feathered friends. I leave my gardens very messy. You could probably see that in the background over here. Much to the chagrin probably of some of my neighbors or some of my family members who don't understand why I don't clean everything up. And so what I do is I invite them over for coffee or tea or a glass of wine or a beer at the end of the day. And we sit in the sunroom, which is right here, and we can watch the birds come into those areas and feed. In fact, there's all kinds of, I'm gonna just do this for a second. There are, let's see if I can do this. This is evening primrose, I think. Right? Evening primrose, yes, not mullein. I get those two confused sometimes. And it's got these wonderful little kind of seed heads that are left at the end of the year, and they're full of little, I don't know if I can get any out of this one. They're full of little tiny black seeds. And so when I leave the primrose heads up, the stalks are actually pretty beefy, and the woodpeckers will come and peck at these. There, oh my gosh, I don't know if I'm going to be able to show you because they're teeny tiny small. But the woodpeckers will peck at these during the wintertime when it gets really cold because they stay above the snow, and it's a really good food source. So don't be afraid to stay messy. Yeah, and Penelope's sharing that finches eat seeds. You know, I think of the snow buntings and the Lapland longspurs and the horned larks that start to push down here into Vermont during the winter time, all of those winter eruptive birds that come down, and how that's what they're relying on, all those weed seeds that are left on the landscape for them. Okay, other wonderings from your time. I And go back to the chat. Here we go. There we go. You've got, Betsy's got woodpeckers that remind her to put her suet out. Other things that you're wondering. I wonder why some birds are searching for food under the feeders that are full of black oil seed and homemade suet. Yes. Good. I love that question. Who is that? Who is that? That was Betsy. Betsy, I think that is a great winter wondering to pay attention to on your sit spot through this winter, and I bet you'll figure out the answer. Or you can take a course with me. So if you've already taken, this is where I get to pitch some courses. If you've taken a level 1 slow birding course with me, you are ready for the level 2 courses that are going to be coming up in this next year. And the first one, level 2 that I offer, is called Bird Families. And so that's a little bit of a clue to your question about why are they feeding on the ground. Hey, now all the chickadees are back. Yeah, see, my neighbors went inside with their dogs, so everybody's coming back in. So I've got a bird families course level 2 coming up. Later on in the year, there'll be a bird behavior course. There will also be a new deep listening course in the next year. So lots of new things on the horizon. I hope you're all on my mailing list. I'm going to try to make sure that you all get at least the next one, and then you can decide whether you want to get that once a month or not. Any final wonderings? Yeah, how do you sign up for the courses, Patty? Thank you. So courses, you got to go to my website. Go to birddiva.com. There's a bar across the top, that menu bar. It says online courses. The next 2 courses that are going to be open for registration will open on December 15th. Right, Chickadee? Yes. The one in January is for folks who have already taken Intro to Slow Birding. It'll be the Bird Families course. And then in March, there will be another Intro to Slow Birding course if you haven't taken that yet. And then there'll be a fall slow birding course as well. Penelope, yes, there are fees associated with the courses because this is my work. This is my small business. Courses are going to be on a sliding scale this year. So that, so it just is more inclusive, and for folks with, everybody budgets money differently in different ways. Please know that if you're like, gosh, I really want to take this course, but I can't afford that price even at the lowest end of the sliding scale, you can reach out to me. I have folks that donate once a month, which is something that folks have been doing through the First Friday program. If you go to that program listing on my calendar, there's a way that you can donate. And what I do is I spin that money into kind of scholarships, so to speak, for folks who might reach out and be like, I'd really like to do this, but I can't right at this point in time, or I can make this much, and then I pull money from that account to help cover that. Those donations also go to support different groups that I work with that may not have the funding to be able to hire me to lead an outing or to come and do a presentation. So I'm always appreciative of those extra little donations on the side because they help someone else. They kind of pay it forward for someone else. New next year, I'm working right now on a membership program, and this is so that I can consistently bring content to you in a way that is really valuable and rich and will help you deepen your slow birding practice, even if you're not taking a course. So there'll be a monthly fee and then a year-long fee. They'll all be under $150. So like once a month for $12, there'll be like a little package of tools and resources and things that you get from that, including a forum. I've had a lot of us are stepping away from social media. We don't want to be on Facebook or Twitter, or we never were on Facebook or Twitter, or Instagram. And so one of my main goals in this next year is really to build community and help connect all of you, kind of like you did such a great job having conversations on the chat today. I want to continue to do that. So that'll be part of the membership program as well, which is a private forum, like away from social media, away from all that other gobbledygook. It'll be like hosted on my website. It'll be private. Yes, there will be a fee involved, but that's because the software I have to buy to host it, and the way I have to set up the membership, all of those things cost. And then the things I want to bring to you cost me my time. And so it's just that reciprocal piece there. And I will try to keep it low. And I'm implementing sliding scales this year so that if you can pay on the higher end of things, then that in turn helps the rest of the community be able to participate as well. All kinds of good things. Please visit the Facebook page if you're there, because there's a survey there, and a survey went out in my most recent email that I think went out yesterday or the day before. What was the first day of December? Was it yesterday? Oh, Christine, I'm so glad to hear that I do too. I want to rid my brain of all the junk that's on Facebook and even Instagram at times, as much as I love that platform. I really want to create a safe, inclusive space for people to connect and talk about birding in this way. Slow birding, mindful birding, just non-competitive, non-judgmental. Mindful is probably the best way to describe it, way of birding. So fingers crossed, I will have that set for you as we move into the new year, and that you'll find the space and the time and the financial support to participate. If not, again, please reach out to me. I want this to be as inclusive as possible. Super. I would love to open it up. I'm going to say thank you to everyone that's joined, because I know we're coming up on the hour. Thank you all for your support all this year. I am going to open this up to, if people want to say hi, if you want to ask questions. I'm going to stop recording and open up the chat and welcome you. Reflections. Again, I want to express my gratitude to all of you for joining me each month. And if this was your first time, I can't wait to see you again. What I receive back from all of you is means so much to me. It's a lot of joy, a lot of validation of the work that I'm doing. It gives me a lot of hope. And I look forward to kind of meeting up with all of you in person again next year. Oh, that was another thing. If you're in Vermont, once a month, live slow birding sessions in person in different spots around the state. If you would like to host one, they're going to be 2.5-hour sessions. Please reach out to me at birddiva@gmail.com. I'm trying to cover, all parts of the state to offer these in-person bird outing experiences that will be very different than a traditional bird walk or outing that you might have been to before. Some of you have already been on them, so you know what I'm talking about. That's really good. All right, I'm checking into the chat. Oh, Arlene, I'm so glad. Thank you so much for coming. You're welcome, Valentina. I'm so glad you came today from Colombia. Huzzah. Good, good, good. We're gonna stop recording. There we go. Thank you all.